Welcome back, folks, to WrestleRant, where I give my in-depth analysis of all the pay-per-views that I watch in the WWE Network. Today I'll be wrapping up my reviews of the TLC events with my thoughts and full recap of the 2013 event. So that being said, kicking off the show is a 3-on-1 handicap match with CM Punk taking on all three members of the Shield. I thought this was a really good match, and I watched the show live, but it was, like I said before in my past videos, it was on a shitty live stream over the internet, so it was not the best quality. I missed certain points of the show. I missed the entire finish of this matchup, so watching it back on the WWE Network for only $9.99, cheap plug, was really cool. I really enjoyed this matchup. I thought it was one of the more entertaining matches of the night. And I was always really excited. After CM Punk dropped the WWE title, people have said, he was losing a lot, he was involved in some shitty feuds, and maybe that was the case when he was feuding with Curtis Axel and Ryback, even though I love the Paul Heyman CM Punk stuff because I thought their promos were off the charts amazing. But after that stuff, though, I thought CM Punk had some really, really good matches with the Wyatt family, and especially with the Shield. And I thought this was a prime example of that, getting about 15 minutes to kick off the show. Now, of course, I'm not going to go full-on detail on this, but CM Punk recently said on the second part of his two-part podcast with Cole Cabana on The Art of Wrestling, he specifically talked about this matchup and when creative kept on coming up to him and telling him to make Roman Reigns of the Shield look strong, countless times. And he got to the point where he was just pissed off and he didn't understand why he was going over if they wanted him to make Roman Reigns look really, really, really strong. And he did. Roman Reigns looked good here. And this is around the time they were continuously building tension between Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns. They were trying to split up the Shield, and they would do that for the next couple of months, and thankfully it would not come to fruition. And they would turn babyface and feud with Evolution and all these other trios, the Wyatt family also. So I'm glad they went that route instead. That was what they were kind of teasing here, though. But to open up the show, I thought this was a great match. I guess it kicked off the show because CM Punk had to fly elsewhere to go to a wedding, I guess, to CJ Wilson. I think that who it was for. So that's probably why it went on so early. But even if that wasn't the case, I like the idea that this match kicked off the show because it was really entertaining. A lot of good action here. CM Punk overcomes the odds. Continues his streak of wins, I guess. Really didn't do any damage to the Shield. On the same show that they made their in-ring debut on a year prior. So, I didn't really think it didn't damage the Shield at all. It was a good win for CM Punk, really entertaining. So, I thought this was one of the better matches of the night. Up next for the Divas Championship, AJ Lee defending against Natalya. Now, this was also an interesting matchup coming into the show because of the Tribute to the Troops show that they taped shortly beforehand. And I guess AJ Lee had some heat on her after a confrontation with Michelle Beadle at the event, and there was heavy speculation going into this show that she was going to drop the title. And the betting odds, why people even fucking bet on these pay-per-views, I have no idea. It's stupid. Even though I'm the biggest wrestling fan ever, even I admit that it's dumb. But anyway, though, there was a lot of speculation that AJ Lee was dropping the title here, and I was going to be really pissed if they did that because she was so close to breaking the longest reigning Divas champion in history, Maurice. She was close to breaking her record, and she eventually did. And she won here, but I thought it was a really good match. Only got about 6 minutes, but in those 6 minutes, I thought it was a lot of great action. They've had better matches on main event, which I know nobody watches. But still, though, for a pay-per-view match, I thought this was pretty good. It got about 6 minutes, a lot of good action, especially towards the end. AJ Lee picked up the victory and still your Divas champion. I feel bad for Natalya. She's a great in-ring talent, but I don't know if I'm the only one, but Total Divas has kind of turned me against her. She comes off like a complete bitch on that show. And I love Tyson Kidd. I'm not saying I'm siding with Tyson and I'm against Natalya, even though in a way I am. But I don't know, everything about her on that show, maybe they just expose her in the wrong light. Maybe they just make her out to look like a bitch. But I don't know, on that show, I'm just not a fan of her. But AJ Lee retains. You're up next for the Intercontinental Championship. Big E defending his Intercontinental Championship against Damien Sandow. So Damien Sandow, after he cashed in the Money in the Bank briefcase unsuccessfully, he was off Survivor Series for no fucking apparent reason. I don't know why. But they would try to re-push him by making him the number one contender to the Intercontinental Championship after a mini feud with Dolph Ziggler. Really didn't do anything for him. I thought this was a good matchup. He was getting good heat. Big E was still kind of building up a fan following at this point. Why they never did the 5-count gimmick with him, I have no idea. I know they did it down in NXT. Then why give him the 5-count music, the 5-count theme song, if you aren't going to incorporate that into his gimmick on the main roster? That made no sense to me. But Sandow and Langston having a good match here. Langston comes out victorious, still your Intercontinental Champion. Really nothing out of the ordinary. Up next, a fatal four-way tag team matchup for the WWE Tag Team titles with Cody Rhodes and Goldust defending against the impromptu team of Big Show and Rey Mysterio, Ryback and the Real Americans. So a lot of people were pissed that the Usos weren't in this matchup, but I was fine with it because I knew they were going to win the titles down the line anyway, and they did. Of course, right before WrestleMania in March. So I was fine with that. But for this matchup, for what it was, I mean, I've talked about this at length in the past, but the tag team division was so strong in the final few months of 2013 and kind of going into 2014 as well, before they completely dropped the ball on it right after WrestleMania, which sucks. And it's still kind of trying to find its legs still to this day. But I thought this was a really good matchup. It had elimination style rules. So there was that suspense about it. Ryback was taken out first, then the Real Americans. They left it down to Rey Mysterio and the Big Show, who I did not like as a team. I did not like them as a team at all. I kind of like Rey Mysterio. I don't like Big Show, but as a team, it really made no sense. It just screamed impromptu. It just kind of screamed thrown together, which kind of makes it the worst tag teams. And the worst part about it was that Big Show was in like the main event of Survivor Series like a month before this. So why they threw him into a random feud with Rhodes and Goldust made no sense to me. But still, though, despite that, the final few minutes of this matchup with Big Show, Mysterio, and the Rhodes brothers was excellent, as you would only expect from the Rhodes brothers, having great matches every single week, and this was no exception. They came out victorious here, still the WWE Tag Team Champions. And the next night on Raw, they would lose a non-title match to Big Show and Goldust, or to Big Show and Rey Mysterio anyway, for no apparent reason, because they didn't continue that feud, so I don't know what that was about. But really, really good match here. Great stuff from the Rhodes brothers and everyone else involved, so 2 thumbs up for that. Up next, we had a just random singles match thrown in at the last minute. R-Truth versus Brodus Clay. This is around the time that Xavier Woods debuted, and he came out to Brodus Clay's entrance music. Brodus Clay got mad at that. This whole debacle, like, it was really, really confusing. But still, I just didn't like the fact that no one really benefited from this whatsoever. R-Truth was already damaged goods at this point. Xavier Woods was getting squashed every week by Brodus Clay. And Brodus Clay, in turning heel, he ditched the Funkadactyls, tons of funk, whatever, which I thought was great. But the big problem with that was that no one cared. They made him out to look like a pussy by making him lose every week. So no one benefited from this program whatsoever. And that was especially apparent when R-Truth went over instead of Brodus Clay. So, yeah, just bad booking all around here. Really, really pointless matchup. It did not help Brodus Clay as a heel. Xavier Woods did not benefit from this at all. So, this really odd booking all around here. Speaking of such, up next we had a no disqualification match between Kofi Kingston and The Miz. They kind of already had a feud going into the show anyway. Why they didn't confirm the match beforehand, I have no idea. But still, though, they had The Miz on the pre-show panel, and Kofi Kingston, I guess, slapped him, leading to a match on the show. No disqualification rules. It was an okay match. It wasn't a bad match. They had a much better match at Survivor Series, that's for sure. But no one fucking cared about this match whatsoever. I think that was the biggest issue with it. We have seen this match so many times before. We saw it in 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012, and now in 2013 for the fifth fucking time. What if the 5th million time? Like I said before, nothing against The Miz, nothing against Kofi Kingston. They're both great. They both have very good chemistry, but we had already seen it a million times. The crowd didn't care for it whatsoever. The Miz was already tottering on the line of being a babyface and a heel at the same time as a tweener, and no one fucking cared. It was really weird. And I thought Kofi would turn, and he never did. Like I said, the match was okay, but there was a few botches here and there, and the biggest problem with it is that no one cared, and I don't blame them because I didn't care about it either because they had matches every single week. The Miz won them all except for this one. This kind of ended the feud, but we'd already seen it a million times before, so I didn't really care to see it anymore. So up next, we had the Wyatt family against Daniel Bryan in another 3-on-1 handicap matchup. Really good matchup here, but the biggest difference between the opener, between the Shield and Punk, and this one is that this one told a better story. I thought the opening one had better in-ring action, but this one had Bray Wyatt, and Bray Wyatt is a stellar storyteller. I think that goes without saying, but as a character, he's great. But still, I thought he and Bryan had a lot of great chemistry here, as well as the rest of the Wyatt family kind of beating down Daniel Bryan. He was against all odds. That's always been his gimmick anyway, is being the underdog and trying to take out the Wyatt family at all costs and stuff like that. So I thought that was great. So Daniel Bryan had a few hope spots here and there. It wasn't like he was completely squashed. This went on for about 12 minutes or so. I thought it was a really, really good matchup, and Bray Wyatt ended up picking up the victory by taking out Daniel Bryan and scoring the win for his team, keeping the Wyatt family strong after their loss at Survivor Series. So really, really good stuff all around. Daniel Bryan didn't lose anything from this at whatsoever. I thought he still came out of this looking strong as hell. So, great stuff all around from the Wyatt family and Daniel Bryan, telling a very solid story, and the match itself was also very, very good. So that leads us to our main event. It was a TLC match to crown the first ever WWE World Heavyweight Champion. So the thing going into this matchup was that they had a fan vote on Raw like a couple weeks before this, saying like, who do you want to see as the World Heavyweight Champion, as the Undisputed Champion? What would you call them? And it was something stupid like the Undisputed WWE World Champion, like something dumb. At least WWE World Heavyweight Champion makes sense. Like you combine the two names. I get that. But if you're going to do that, then why ask the fans what they want to see and say you're going to go with it even though you're not? Like, that made no sense to me. But it was John Cena, the World Heavyweight Champion at the time, taking on the WWE Champion at the time, Randy Orton. And, like the millionth time these two have squared off on pay-per-view. I'm not going to complain about the match quality, even though they never have had the best of chemistry over the years. This was not a bad match. I thought this was one of their better ones, to be honest with you. I thought this was a pretty good match, especially for a TLC match. They had a lot of good spots. A lot more entertaining than I remember it to being. I mean, at the time, I thought this was like... I just remember sitting through this, like, when is this going to be fucking over? Because I don't care. But watching it back on the network, I thought it was really entertaining. I thought it was a lot better than I thought it was the first time I watched it, which is usually the reverse happens, but not with this match. But a lot of good stuff from Randy Orton and John Cena. Like I said before, they don't have the best of in-ring chemistry. It's not the strongest, but... you give them the right environment, like inside Hell in a Cell, like in an Iron Man match, like in a TLC match, they will shine. And I thought this was no exception to that. So I thought this was a really good match from both Orton and Cena. So Cena was like handcuffed to the rope. Like, that was one thing about this matchup that I did not like. It got about 25 minutes. Had no problem with that. But the fact they reused the same spot from the same event, from the same fucking match from 2 years prior, only 2 years prior, when CM Punk had gotten handcuffed to the ropes, and he had to battle his way out of it and still win anyways. Like, they copied that same spot from almost exactly 2 years ago. It was ridiculous. So I didn't really like that aspect of it. But unlike CM Punk, John Cena, despite being handcuffed, was unable to win. And Randy Orton emerged victorious. They had a bad botch at the end, which I thought kind of hurt the match a little bit. Not a lot. But Cena was climbing up the ladder, and Orton was... He took the chain that Cena was handcuffed on, and Cena was like, don't do it. And Orton's like, fuck it. So he takes the handcuff chain and or the ring rope, whatever it was, and he tosses it, like he whips it. And Cena was supposed to go initially, as scheduled. He was supposed to go to the table in the corner of the ring, in the ring post, in the corner of the ring. He was supposed to go through that table, and he didn't. I think they botched it. And he fell off the ladder in a weird way, and the ladder fell over, and Cena's head hit the table. I don't think he was hurt, but they tried to play it up as he got a concussion or something fucking dumb like that. And that was what prevented him from winning the matchup. So they recovered nicely. They covered it nicely with the commentary, so that wasn't too bad. But Orton, I don't know if it was Orton's fault. It was just like bad timing. I'm not really sure. But it just didn't come off too well, especially when you know where that was supposed to be going, with Cena going through the table instead of his head hitting it. Like, the table wasn't damaged at all, so that looked pretty bad. But like I said before, they covered it nicely. Orton emerged victorious, the new WWE World Heavyweight Champion. So that was pretty nice. I enjoyed that, and it was the first time that Orton had won a match in the main event of a pay-per-view without the help from the Authority for the first time in like 4 fucking months or something dumb like that. So he finally got a clean finish, even though it wasn't like a standard singles match, whatever. So I enjoyed that. I thought it was a really good match. Not a great match. I thought it was pretty good, though. And Mr. McMahon's music hit for the first time for maybe 4 or 5 months, something like that. He comes out. I thought something big was going to happen, only they just come out, the Authority, Triple H, Stephanie, and Vince. They come down to the ring, congratulate Randy Orton to go off the air, and that was pretty much it. There was really nothing much beyond that. That kind of closed out the show. So on the whole, I thought this was an okay show. And in comparison to any other show, I thought it'd be decent to good, maybe. But in comparison to the other installments of TLC, 2010, 2011, 2012, which I all thought were exceptionally strong shows, this one definitely paled in comparison. Whether it was worse than the 09 installment, I don't know. I thought this one had better in-ring action than the 09 installment. 09 had... Jeez, what the fuck did 09 have? Like, they had the TLC main event, which I thought was good. I'm not going to completely recap, because you can go back and watch that in the video that I posted a couple days ago, or last week. I don't know. I would probably call this better than the 09 edition. Maybe not, though. I think the thing that definitely took away from the show was the fact that, unlike every other TLC show in the past, they didn't have a tables match. They didn't have a chairs match. They didn't have a ladder match. They only had one TLC match, and that was it. And one can argue that one TLC match kind of makes it mean more, but I didn't look at it that way. The undercard definitely lacked from not having any gimmick matches on a show that's all about gimmick matches. A complete 180 from the 2010 show, which every single match was like a tables match, a ladder match, a chairs match, whatever. This was a complete opposite from that, so I was kind of disappointed by that. The main event was good. The opener was really good. The Punk and Shield match, Bryan and the Wyatt family, I also thought was really, really good. Truth and Brodus Clay, terrible. Kofi and Miz, very, very boring. I didn't care for that at all. The tag team title match was also very fun, and the Divas title match and the Intercontinental title match were good as well, but nothing worth going in every way to see. So in terms of a replay factor, I would not suggest that you go out of your way to watch this show. Definitely go out of your way to watch the other installments, 2010, 2011, and 2012. This was definitely not on the same level as those shows, in my opinion. I thought it was good. Like I said before, it was not terrible. It was definitely better than all the other pay-per-views. It's probably what made it bearable for me at the time. That it was better than fucking Night of Champions, Hell in a Cell. What was the other show that we got? Bragging Rights, Survivor Series. Those are all terrible shows. So this was a lot better than all those shows combined. But in retrospect, though, you don't need to go back out of your way to watch the show because it was not great. If there's one match to watch, probably the tag team title match, to be honest with you. Orton and Cena was historic in that it crowned the new WWE World Heavyweight Champion. But other than that, it was a standard Orton-Cena match, nothing too special. So that being said, folks, that's going to wrap up my reviews of TLC, Tables, Ladders, and Chairs. Hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't watch all my other reviews of the other installments, 09, 2010, 2011, and 2012, go back and watch them here on the channel. So coming up in coming weeks, for the rest of the months, actually, I might as well just say this right now, in upcoming editions of WrestleRant, I'll be talking about Insurrection, the 2000, 01, 02, and 03 installments, and in the final 3 days of the year, I guess you can call it, I'll be talking about the New Year's Revolution pay-per-views from 05, 06, and 07. What better way to ring in the new year than talking about New Year's Revolution? So that being said, folks, always appreciate the support. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll be back in a couple more days with my review of the 2000 installment of Insurrection. Always enjoy the WWE Network. Great stuff. Go back and check it out for yourself. And I'm Graham Jason Matthews, and I'll catch you guys in my next video.